Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestler Weekly Memories, Episode 6. I hope you've enjoyed our walk through memory lane here at Wrestler Weekly. And now we've come to Back Covers 2. Back Covers 1 was last week. So if you missed that episode, find us on YouTube at Wrestler Weekly, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. We're all over the place. ProWrestlingTees.com for your t-shirts, /Wrestler Weekly. Find the book, Family Bacon Wrestling, on Amazon. Back Covers 2. What is it? Well, the back of a wrestling magazine, you could order Wrestling Album number 4. That was last week's episode. But you could also order, a year later, Wrestling Album number 5. And in Family Bacon Wrestling, I talked about this, Back Covers 2. So if you remember last week, all those little images were covers of wrestling magazines. And so the gem was that Ric Flair with the red leather U.S. belt, Best of the Wrestler. Now, what's the gem? Well, the gem was the Ricky Steamboat. For me, was the Ricky Steamboat with the famous mustache and wearing the Mid-Atlantic belt, my territory, where I grew up watching Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Bob Caudle, David Crockett, and then worldwide Saturday nights with Rich Landrum and Johnny Weaver. And this time, instead of having 7 on the back, there were 8 magnificent portraits of wrestling's greatest superstars. Wrestling Album number 5. You had Ted DiBiase, Tommy Rich, Greg Valentine, Ric Flair, Blackjack Mulligan Jr., later to be known as Barry Windham, Bob Backlund, Ricky Steamboat, and Hulk Hogan. Now, all of these were covers, and they were very difficult to find for the most part. Now, remember, when I was trying to track these down, this was before eBay. Man, we had to put, look, I put ads in, a lot of these, our younger fans won't remember this, but trade papers. What is that? Well, you'd walk into a gas station and you would see these little free newspapers, and people would put ads in there on what they wanted, kind of like Craigslist, but in the newspaper, because there was no internet. This was way before that, okay? And you had to do things a little differently. Well, if you read my book, you remember a guy by the name of Brent Hardison. Well, good old Brent answered my ad because I'm looking for old wrestling magazines. And Brent answered the ad. I was living in Hickory, North Carolina at the time. He was near the beach, so it's going to be a good drive for me, but I wanted to do it, and I made it. Now, I got to Brent's house, and I'm going to give you the short version. If you want the long version, you got to read my book. Middle of nowhere, no cell phone, all right, having to use pay phones to make sure I'm in maps. I was using paper maps trying to find Brent Hardison. Well, I finally found him in a trailer park in the literal middle of nowhere near the coast of North Carolina at around 10:30 in the evening. I finally show up. And, it's a typical scene. Dogs everywhere, old cars broken down everywhere, dimly lit. And I'm thinking I'm walking into hell here. I'm going to get murdered here and looking for daggum wrestling magazines. Well, I finally get up there. Brent opens the door. He goes, I got him in the back room. Now I'm really thinking I'm going to catch it, right? I walk down this little hallway of this trailer to the back room, and I'm thinking, man, my life is over. I'm going to be murdered looking for wrestling magazines. I turn the corner. I walk in, and it was like a aha, like angels, like the light that you see in movies shines, and it's 2 2 big giant boxes of wrestling magazines, could have been more. And on top of the stack was Ricky Steamboat and the famous Stash magazine smiling me right in the face. And I knew that I had hit the absolute jackpot. And, being me, that, the guy wanted $75, and I said, hey, Brent, will you take 50 since I had to make this drive? So you take $50 in and out the door, back on the road. I think I got back home at like 2 or 3 in the morning. But, man, I was smiling the whole way home. One last thing. I'm going to tell you, if you want to do this, you want to try to collect these back covers, the Hulk Hogan is the hardest one to find. And I'm going to give you a hint. It's not a back cover. Let me rephrase that. It's not a front cover of a magazine that they then put on the back cover for Wrestling Album 5. It is an actual back cover. It is the back of a magazine. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to tell you which magazine it is. That's Wrestler Weekly Memories for this week, episode 6. Happy hunting. Until next time, fans, so long.
Hey, y'all. What does Baby Doll do when she needs to check the facts? I go to Wrestler Weekly, the history channel of professional wrestling.
Episode 6.